All right, so welcome to this video where I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit more about my journey, my story. And to start off with, I want to answer this question, which you probably have in your mind right now, which is why should you listen to me, Muhammad Adam Ali? And so I'm going to give you straight right now. The reason why you should listen to me is because, my belief is that you only really want to listen to people who have the results that you desire yourself. Okay. And some of these results, the results that I've been able to create for myself. So whether those results are, somebody 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, or whether that's somebody who's a week ahead, a month ahead, 6 months ahead, you want to look at it and think, is that person qualified to help me out? So here's some of my results. At the in my mid 20s, I've been able to create my dream lifestyle, traveling to over 12 countries, whilst earning my active and passive income over the last 12 months in all over the world, Asia, South America, not South America, sorry, Asia, the Caribbean, a little bit of Africa, a little bit of Europe, all these different places. And that was a dream for me back when I was getting started out. Also, I've been able to make more errors and mistakes than anybody out there. One of the sayings that is really important for you to understand when it looks to who you want to teach you is don't necessarily judge somebody by their wins, but judge them by their losses. And I'm going to show you in the rest of this presentation every single one of these mistakes that I've made on my journey and how you can learn from them as well so you don't repeat those mistakes. The beautiful thing about my life and why I actually do love it so much is that I get to earn 100% of my income from my laptop using technology and automation to make, 5 figures a month from just a few sales in my business and in my investments. So this has been an absolute blessing for me. And I'm on track right now to take our company, our organization, the Soul Business Empires, to our first 1 million in a month this year in pounds. So I'm super grateful and excited for what's about to happen over here. And I want to take as many people as possible with me. So I intend to free 25 more individuals from the matrix this year. That really is my biggest intention. And if there's any reason as to why you should listen to me, I would say that, put all those to aside, everything that I shared. The main reason as to why you should listen to me, and this is not just coming from myself, this is coming from feedback that I've had from other people who've worked with me, is that I just care. I just care more than anybody who you're ever going to meet, anybody who's going to be teaching you in any of these programs and platforms. I have a genuine reason for why I do what I do, and you're going to learn a little bit more about that when you see some of the story. So without further ado, let's get into it. What I want to make as a promise to you is that as long as you don't make the same mistakes that I made, and as long as you follow exactly what we're showing you in this program, this is going to be you in 3 to 6 months. You're going to be walking away with a huge smile on your face, and you're going to walk out the door from your job, and you're going to be absolutely buzzing. And it's going to be one of the best feelings ever, I promise you. And the beautiful thing about it is that once you've done it with the system we're going to be showing you and our solutions, it's not just going to be yourself. Like, this could be your whole entire family, you, your friends, in 6 to 12 months, all living the dream, from anywhere in the world, because I've lived it traveling solo. And I can tell you this right now, doing it by yourself and being the only person who's successful is nowhere near as enjoyable and fun as having your actual family there and your friends with you. So eventually you'll be able to take them also. So who am I? My name is Muhammad Adam Ali. I'm a former athlete. I used to be a pro, semi-pro in 3 different sports: basketball, tennis, and badminton. And that's what I thought my career was going to be. But when I was younger, I was never very good in academics of school. But one thing that I always knew was that I was meant for more. I was meant for something different because I was always a minority. I never fit in anywhere else. So I decided that I wanted to become an online business owner when I came out of school. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm the founder and CEO of the Soul Business Empires, as you know, and I'm a digital real estate investor and an international traveler. It's like I said, travel the world and done that. So yeah, this is some of the pictures from my earlier days, like I said, when I was doing my sports. But that was really when I was younger. And my entrepreneurship journey, it started off when things in my sports career didn't actually go the way that I wanted to. So at 18 years old, I got a scholarship to go to America, but it didn't actually work out. Didn't go as planned. We didn't have the money to send me over in the end because of Brexit. So I had to move to an alternative, and I made my first ever what I call the right moves. And what I did was I took ownership of my finances because I found this opportunity that was called MLM, right? Multi-level marketing. You've probably heard of the idea. And I actually, back then, I loved the idea. The reason why I loved it was because it meant that I could take ownership and control about how much I wanted to earn. There was no limit whatsoever. And that was amazing for me. But I had my first realization then, which was I was the only one to love the idea. Nobody else liked multi-level marketing. Everybody hated it. They called it a pyramid scheme, and it just never seemed like it was a viable option at that point. So I got ridiculed, and I experienced my first ever mistake, right? My first mistake was I actually quit MLM before I ever began. And so I didn't actually really go ahead with it. I didn't give it anything. I didn't commit. And what ended up happening was I made mistake number 2, and I followed the herd. I became a sheep, and I went into a 9 to 5 as an accountant, and I absolutely hated it. I can't tell you how much I hated that job. Where I made my second realization, which is, when you're in these jobs and when you're in these environments, these sheep, right, they choose to be in the cage even though they hate it. So every day I was waking up and I was going to work. It wasn't as if anybody was dragging me there. I was taking myself there. I was doing that despite the fact that I hated it. And I realized I was amongst many other people doing the exact same thing. And I was stuck in this box working 50 hours a week with no life apart from on the weekend where I felt like I needed to recover for the next week. So I was either doing laundry, washing, partying to get rid of my depression. And it was just not a healthy place to be in. And so I tried to think of a way of getting out. And I consulted my first ever mentor. And my mentor said to me, I should go and check out a property to invest into. And she'd help me out with all of the logistics. And this is where I had my third realization, which was getting into property is not very cheap. It's very difficult to get into. I was 19 years old. I was looking for a way of breaking out the matrix. And these days you can't get any houses for zero money down unless you actually find an investor. So somebody's got to pay at least 15 to 20K up front. And I didn't have any of the money. So my mentor wasn't going to give me the money. I didn't have the money. And my job was never paying me enough to get into this game. So that's when I decided to fire my first ever mentor. I called him up. I said, Mum, you're fired. Like, there's no way I'm going to listen to you anymore when it comes to financial advice. And that's the last time that I listened to my mother when it came to anything to do with finances, because I realized that, she didn't actually have the results that I wanted. Yes, she had different properties. Yes, she had some passive income coming in, but she was still at 40, 50 years old, working in a job 9 to 5 and something she didn't actually enjoy. And that was not the best for her. So I had to fire her. But eventually, I started to get into personal development. And one of the things that I learned from Think and Grow Rich and a guy called Napoleon Hill was that the number one reason people fail in life is because they listen to their friends, their family, and their neighbors. So I stopped doing that, right? And I started to make some changes. But I made mistake number 3, and I ignored my heart and I waited for things to change, but nothing did. Things got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I got this depression and anxiety more and more intensified, right? So I was feeling horrible. And then I made mistake number 4, where instead of expressing these feelings and making it known to not only other people, but myself, I masked them. I masked these feelings with shallow experiences, with women, parties, and wasting money on drugs and alcohol and things like that. And I paid the price for it of suicidal thoughts and almost losing my friends that attempted suicide. And eventually I even paid the ultimate price of actually losing my best friend over here on the left, Mojo, to suicide. So that was probably the worst mistake I ever made and the biggest price I ever paid. And I paid it at such a young age. But from then on, it had such a shift in my being and things started to change a lot. So that's when I went to make my second right move. And I turned my adversity into my asset. I used the pain as fuel to launch myself out of the 9 to 5. And I found social media marketing as a first endeavor. But I ended up making mistake number 5, where I paid thousands for a course. And thousands for this course just got me information, but not the actual results. I didn't realize that you had to actually apply everything that it said, and that was a different skill. And so I had my fourth realization, which was that running your own service business is hard. It's very hard. And with most, you need lots of case studies up front and to work for free for a while before you can get clients. Otherwise, you have to be an absolute genius when it comes to sales. And that's not going to happen in most instances. And so then I made mistake number 6, where I blamed the opportunity instead of myself. And I moved to the next shiny object syndrome, to the next shiny object because I had shiny object syndrome. I tried dropshipping on my own. I attempted to self-teach with YouTube videos because it was cheaper and complete contrast to what I tried with the social media marketing. And it just took me ages. So I didn't put any money down, but I was losing time and I didn't have time because my goals, I needed to get out of my situation as quick as possible. So I was not willing to waste time like this. And so I had my 6th realization was that time is of the essence. No support or leverage costs way more than the price of leveraging expertise, whatever that expertise is. And then I heard this quote, which was, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is by Jim Rohn. And that absolutely changed my life. When I heard that quote, I ended up finding this community. And I made my 3rd right move where I changed my 5 people. This was a community back then called the CEO Movement, first ever community I was a part of. And it was amazing. I gained proximity with millionaires and billionaires. And then I had my 7th realization, which was success is not only dependent on the vehicle, but it's dependent on the driver. And my personality must change in order to change my personal reality. So all of the people that you saw over there in that community, they were doing something in a business model called high ticket affiliate marketing. And it was a great business model because it meant that you could leverage another company so that you didn't have to actually do any of the delivery, any of the service, any of the making of the product yourself. And I love that idea. All you needed to do was promote the product. But then I had my 8th realization because although the company that they were affiliated with was the absolute best company in the world, I realized that the best product in the world won't sell itself. So even if you have the absolute best thing, you're going to have to be able to learn the skills of sales, which I didn't have at the time. So then I made my 4th right move, which was I increased my willingness to learn. And I paid thousands to travel to get in the rooms with billionaires like the guy you see over here, Balazs W. Cardos. I paid to get into these rooms to learn the skills of high ticket sales and marketing. And then I made my 5th right move, which was at that event, I had this moment with Balazs, the billionaire I was just referring to, where I was publicly humiliated. And I surrendered my huge ego despite this public humiliation. I got grilled and I got burnt with love because he just told me how it was. And then I had my 9th realization, which was that the same person can be in the exact same room, learning the same thing from the same individuals, but walk away with nothing because of their arrogance and their low coachability and low willingness to change. That was me. I just spent all that time sat in that room, but I didn't actually take in what I was supposed to, what I was meant to. I didn't actually go away with a strategy, with things I was going to implement. I was just there, information gathering, instead of thinking, action taking, which eventually led me to take my 6th right move. I heard Balazs' story and I followed in his footsteps. I began a career in sales and I spent years learning from professionals day in and day out. I paid nothing but time to get a degree level education in a high income skill. And then I had my 10th realization, which was that sales in a job does not pay you a fair amount based on what you produce for your company. And if you sell something you don't believe in, it's like walking up a mountain with a boulder on your back. So what I decided to do instead, because of my background in sports, was I decided to become a personal trainer. I still got to practice sales in this particular gym environment because I was bringing on my own clients. But now I could keep 100% of my income and sell something that I was genuinely passionate about, giving a lot more fulfillment for myself, which then led me to have my 11th realization, which was sales is so much harder without a brand to actually leverage. I had no brand, I had no third-party company. It was just me as a person. And being the service as well as a salesperson is in fact two different jobs. So I was earning more money, but more money is not better than less time. So that's when this quote that I got reminded of by John Paul Getty, I'd rather have 1% of the effort of 100 men than 100% of my own effort, really hit home, because I was experiencing what it was like to try and put in 200% effort. It just wasn't working. So I got into something else where I kept going and I kept on trying to be self-employed, making it work. And I transitioned to what we call high ticket coaching, right? I started to raise the prices a little bit more when I added more tools to my tool belt. I went beyond physical fitness. I went into mindset, mental fitness, spirituality, charging higher prices, making up to £5,000 per client. But then I had my total realization, which was that the key to the freedom-based lifestyle is high ticket, right? High ticket helps you to get the freedom. The reason why is because you don't have to make a ton of sales in order to get the amount that you need to live the lifestyle that you would like to live. So literally within one sale, I had enough for the entire month. I had enough for a couple of months and it was great. But I actually got a little bit distracted again because, the shiny object syndrome was something that was a part of who I was. So my friend from school who I met, his name was Hassan, and I linked up with him one time, and he said that he turned £200 into 40,000 investing into Tesla stocks. And I was just blown away by that. I was like, I've worked so hard to get to the point that I'm at right now, but you're telling me that you've literally made 200 into 40,000 by just investing into a stock. I need to learn this shit. So I went to him, trusting his results, and he told me to invest into crypto, Shiba. And this is where I made mistake number 7, which was, as Warren Buffett says, never lose money in investing. And I lost money. I lost more money than I invested. So I made mistake number 8 as well there, which was don't judge somebody on their wins, but actually judge them on their losses. That's the most important thing. As he says there, rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Now, the beautiful thing here was that I actually got introduced to somebody who genuinely changed my life when it comes to investing, because I still had this desire to become an investor. And I ended up becoming friends with the guy on the left over here, Maverick, who, he'd not worked a job since he was 19 years old when I met him. He's just sold his business for $500,000 by the time he was 27. And he also lost a lot of money in the financial markets in both crypto and Forex, like a crazy amount of money. Some of the stories he told me was wild. But he's also simultaneously helped hundreds of students make a lot of money in the financial markets. So I had my 15th realization here, which was there is no lack of money in this world, and it is just reserved for the 1%. The top 10 banks have more money than the bottom 5 billion earners combined. And Mav taught me so much. He taught me how to trade as well as how to invest into things like crypto and into other investments. So I had my 16th realization here, which was that as good as Forex and trading was, trading is a sport, right? There's a lot of money to be earned, but you've got to master it to get paid like a professional. It takes years to reach that point where you're making more money than you're losing. And trading is not the same as investing. It's not actually passive income. It's an active income. And that's why I had my 17th realization. Most cryptos are absolutely whack, absolutely terrible. Unless it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or a main coin like XRP, you are pretty much gambling your money, hoping for it to be a lottery win. But what I ended up doing was I did my research and I bought into an NFT project because NFTs were coming big as well. And I believed that I bought into an NFT project that I believed in. And after everything I learned in crypto and Forex, I ended up losing £10,000 overnight. Why? Because I had these solid NFTs that were great, but they didn't have any security. So my digital wallet was hacked. And I made mistake number 9, which was I forgot rule number 1 of investing. Never lose money. So the whole time, right, after all of this is going on, I'm experiencing all these mistakes. I stayed loyal and I stayed committed to the original opportunity that I was in, which is a high ticket affiliate marketing opportunity. And whilst making all the mistakes and coming to these realizations, sticking around and never quitting allowed me to make my first 5-figure months online whilst living the dream traveling internationally. And I ended up getting a seat at the table with other 5-figure and 6-figure month earners just earlier this year. Even got to not just tell Balazs in the middle, because he actually came back for one of the only events that he ever came back to a few years later down the line. I didn't just tell him how well I did, but I actually got to show him that I wasn't a waste of time and that I did it. I did what he said I should do. And that was one of the most amazing experiences.
Are you 18? What's up? Are you here with your parents or by yourself? Dude, how did you find out about this?
So yeah, that was the moment where one of the guys who I brought, 18 years old, bringing him out of the Matrix, Balazs showed out, celebrating with me. And yeah, it was amazing because I didn't just tell him my results, I showed him. But he ended up at that event, he humbled me once again. And he told myself that it's great that we're breaking people free from the Matrix by hustling like I was. But he said, you got to go back to the basics, right? To win the game at the highest level, you got to become an investor and help others become investors. That's where the value is at. Because like Zig Ziglar said, you can get everything in life that you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. So it all came back to what I learned in my first ever book that I read in financial economics, which was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And they taught about the cash flow quadrant. What I needed to do is I needed to find a way to help others get what they really want so they could move from trading time for money on the left-hand side of the quadrant to making their money work for them as investors in the right-hand side of the quadrant. And where do people go for the safest investment opportunity? Where do people never lose their money? Funnily enough, it all circles back to my original mentor, my mum. She was onto something. Real estate was the key for me to play the game at the highest level. But the problem with real estate is that it just worked too slow for the average person, and it required a huge upfront down payment. So I needed to find something that was unique, different, and superior. There had to be a way where we could create an investment opportunity for the average person where they could make money without it taking decades and without a huge risk attached to it. Something that allowed me to be truly on the right-hand side of the cash flow quadrant by helping others get into the investor quadrant. Something that was truly duplicatable because others wouldn't need to trade their already limited time for more limited income. And something that would help people experience the freedom-based lifestyle and build true legacy wealth. And that's when I ran into my friend and my brother and my co-founder now of the Soul Business Empires, Carlton, who had been in the game of real estate for over 10 years and had sold over £1 million worth of property and was an absolute pro in the game. And so he started to tell me a little bit more about traditional real estate. And then eventually, after a little bit of masterminding and getting to know each other, breaking stuff down, we realized that we could combine our talents and our skills together, and we could offer a solution which was 10 times better than any other investment that we've seen before, and that was just as safe. And that's what we call not traditional real estate, but digital real estate. So that's a brief introduction to this training. And I just want to say thank you for listening to my story. I hope this has inspired you and has also shown you that if there's anyone you can trust right now in terms of the losses that I've made, it's myself. Like I've made more losses than anybody, and we've been through all of it, right? So now what I would recommend is you get yourself into the rest of the training and make sure to pay attention, make sure to listen, make sure to take notes. There's going to be so much value shared, and we're going to go into details about exactly how you can get started out within this amazing, unique opportunity that we've been able to pioneer with what we call digital real estate. I'll see you in the next videos.